Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. That was the deal. The details elude me now, but the details won't change a goddamn thing. This is Sigbrand with another video review, and I come to you today with a quote from Booker DeWitt, the main character of today's review, Bioshock Infinite. Bioshock Infinite is the third in the series by Irrational Games, but it's not a prequel nor a sequel of the previous series. It's an entirely different setting. Bioshock Infinite takes place in a new city, Columbia, where you play as Booker DeWitt, and you have one simple task: bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. As the game opens, you're on a rowboat in 1912 headed towards an unknown destination, and you've been given a box with a gun, some pictures, and only one thought in your head: your task: bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. Infinite has a very excellent story. As it goes on, it only gets better. One thing, however, I feel like I must address is what is apparently a big issue and a large discussion topic about this game. Is it too violent? I must say, yes, it's filled with very graphic violence, but no, violence does not detract from the game. Those who say it didn't really understand the intricacies of the plot. Maybe some will not enjoy the violence, but it is a very important plot device that you should discover. So I say no, the game is not too violent. If violence is required to convey the story and themes, then the answer to this can never be yes. The story of Bioshock Infinite is definitely above average. I do not think that this can be disputed by a single soul who has played and beaten the game in its entirety. The gameplay of Bioshock Infinite is defined by a mix of FPS sections and exploration sections. Both contribute plot elements, and through these scenes and series of recordings on voxophones, the story is conveyed both fluidly and in broken pieces, all at once in a littered throughout gameplay sort of way, with cutscenes delivering actually very little of the story in comparison. The controls are basically the same as any other FPS, with the added benefit of Vigors, the Columbia equivalent of Rapture's plasmids. In Elizabeth, your companion's powers to pull objects into the world for your use in Tears of Reality are pretty useful and a big addition to the game. You'll also frequently find health potions and salts which fuel your vigors, as well as ammo, replacing the carried health packs from the previous games. The elements can be very fun, but I also feel as if Elizabeth's aid can sometimes bring down the difficulty of the game substantially. I feel Bioshock Infinite's gameplay, and by this I mainly mean shooter elements, are average at best, as I feel the delivery of the story through gameplay falls under the story category and less under the gameplay category. Graphically, Bioshock Infinite is amazing. Your ascent to Columbia alone is breathtaking, and as you visit different areas and travel via skylines throughout the game, you'll take in some of the most amazing sights available in video games. Beautiful sceneries and cloudy backdrops in between combat, of course. Bioshock Infinite is notably above average in terms of graphical merit, one of the most beautiful games I have played to date. Being a large title, of course Bioshock Infinite has its fair share of emotionally manipulative ambient music, combat themes, etc. But where the audio tracks really shine are their 1912 era versions of popular songs, like the Barbershop Quartet singing the Beach Boys. Based on ambient music alone, Bioshock Infinite leads towards an average score, based on the other games in its class. But the inclusion of these brilliant tracks pushes it to above average. These tracks have enticed specifically many of the older generations of gamers, and were a very defining piece of ambiance for them. But unfortunately, many of those songs are not available on the official soundtrack. Bioshock Infinite does not contain a multiplayer mode, fortunately, a welcomed alternative to the shameful multiplayer modes of Bioshock 2, a game which should have never existed in the first place. I'm sure we can all be glad that Irrational Games didn't feel the need to tack on the obligatory multiplayer tumor to an otherwise amazing single-player experience. Skip this part if you don't want to hear a very slightly non-story related gameplay spoiler. I only had a single frustration with this game, and I can't go into it in extreme detail. Those who played the game will understand. There is one combat that is ridiculous and even very seemingly out of place, not to mention annoying, near the end of the game. That is so goddamn annoying and hard that I had to turn down the difficulty in order to continue with the final paces of the game's story. I found this scene unneeded, and it frustrated the hell out of me because I was on edge waiting for the thrilling conclusion, but all I got instead was this incredibly frustrating final battle that left me feeling slightly detached from the previous story elements. If you've been adding scores, Bioshock Infinite definitely comes up 3 votes above average with only a single average score, putting it nicely in the above average bracket. But should you buy this game? Should you play this game? You sure as hell should. I 100% recommend you buy, borrow, play this game as soon as possible. It's available everywhere for $60, but is sold out in most red boxes. Do whatever you need to do to get a hold of the game because it's worth it. Irrational Games really stepped up to the plate for their 3rd Bioshock title. It's as good as or even surpasses the original Bioshock, and that is definitely saying something. This has been another video review with Sigbrand, and I can't stress enough, this game is worth even the $60 price tag, and I don't say that about a lot of games. That's really something.